Hey Reddit, I never thought I'd be sharing something so personal, but I need to get this off my chest. My story starts about a year ago, and I'm still reeling from what happened. I've been married to my wife Lisa for 5 years. We didn't have kids, so it was just the two of us. We were comfortable and happy, or so I thought. Lisa and I had a good routine, and one thing we did was use the same taxi service for our regular trips into the city. We liked it because it was reliable and the drivers were friendly. One driver in particular, Jake, became a sort of familiar face for us. At first, it was just casual chats and pleasantries. Jake was a nice guy in his mid-30s, good sense of humor, and always prompt. Lisa seemed to enjoy his company, and I didn't think much of it. We were often in the car with him on weekends for shopping trips, dinners, or visits to friends. Over time, Jake and Lisa started having more personal conversations, and I noticed that Lisa would sometimes joke about how charming he was. I laughed it off as harmless banter. Then one evening, Lisa mentioned she was going to meet a friend for dinner and asked me to take a different cab. I didn't think anything of it, but Jake ended up picking her up. She said she wanted to have a drink with him. It seemed odd, but she brushed it off as just a casual hangout. I didn't have any reason to doubt her at that point. As time went on, Lisa and Jake's interactions became more frequent. She started taking solo trips with him, and I began to notice she was spending more time on her phone, texting, or making calls. I didn't think too much of it. Maybe she was just busy with work or social plans. But looking back, there were signs I missed. Lisa started leaving the house more often with little explanation. She'd say she was going out with friends or running errands, but she'd always come back with a fresh layer of lipstick and a different attitude, more energized and less affectionate towards me. I'm now realizing there were subtle changes in her behavior. Increased secrecy, sudden trips, and a noticeable distance between us. But I trusted her, or at least I wanted to. I was oblivious to the growing closeness between her and Jake. Hey Reddit, back with part 2. This is where things took a dramatic turn. It all started on a Saturday evening. I had planned a quiet night in, catching up on some work, when I noticed Lisa had left for one of her outings with Jake. She had been vague about her plans, saying she'd be out for a few hours. I didn't think much of it, until I received a text from an unknown number. The message read, "Hey, this is awkward, but you should know something. I saw your wife and Jake together. They're in the back of his taxi, and it's not what you want to see." I was confused and a bit annoyed. I didn't recognize the number, and it felt like some sort of sick joke. But something about the message gnawed at me. I decided to investigate. I drove to where Lisa often met Jake, a popular cafe with a parking lot that Jake used as his waiting area between rides. When I arrived, I noticed Jake's cab parked there. My heart was pounding, but I told myself I was being paranoid. I waited around, trying to calm myself. Then I saw Jake's cab pull out of the lot, and I followed it. The cab eventually stopped in a secluded area by the river, away from the usual spots. I parked my car a little distance away and walked towards a taxi, my heart racing with each step. Peering through the partially open window, I saw Lisa and Jake in the back seat. They were clearly not just chatting. They were having sex, and it was obvious they were deeply involved. The shock and betrayal I felt were overwhelming. I wanted to confront them, but I was paralyzed by the raw hurt of the moment. I stood there for what felt like hours, my mind racing. The sight of Lisa, someone I loved and trusted, being so intimate with someone else was devastating. I knew I had to do something, but I wasn't sure what. I felt like my whole world had crumbled in an instant. Eventually, Jake drove off, and Lisa returned home. She seemed cheerful and unsuspecting. When she walked in, I was already waiting for her, my anger barely contained. She looked at me with surprise, and I tried to hold back my rage. I wanted to confront her calmly, but I could barely manage to keep my voice steady. The confrontation was intense. She was defensive, angry, and tried to deny everything, even when the evidence was clear. Lisa was hysterical, trying to manipulate the situation, claiming it was all a misunderstanding and that I was being paranoid. Her excuses were pathetic, and I felt like a fool for not seeing through her lies sooner. I decided at that moment that I couldn't continue with this farce. The trust was shattered beyond repair, and I knew I had to take action. I made up my mind I would file for divorce. Hey Reddit, back with part 3. This is where things really started to unravel. After the confrontation, Lisa was a whirlwind of emotions, mostly anger and denial. She yelled, cried, and threw a complete tantrum. It was clear she wasn't sorry. She was just furious that I had caught her. Her reactions only made things worse for me, amplifying the sense of betrayal and heartbreak. That night, she stormed out of the house, saying she needed space. I was left alone in a house that suddenly felt empty and cold. I spent the night pacing, replaying the events over and over, trying to make sense of the mess. The emotional toll was immense. The next morning, Lisa returned, still defiant but more subdued. She tried to talk things over, but her explanations were inconsistent. She claimed it was just a one-time thing, and that she'd been feeling neglected. Her words felt like a slap in the face. They were just excuses for her actions. I was resolute in my decision. I started looking into the legal aspects of filing for divorce. I met with a lawyer who was both sympathetic and practical. The reality of the legal process began to sink in, dividing assets, addressing any financial issues, and the emotional strain of a divorce. It wasn't just about ending a marriage. It was about untangling a life that had been intertwined for years. Lisa continued to try and manipulate me, offering empty promises of change and reconciliation. She even went so far as to blame me for her actions, claiming I was too absorbed in work and had neglected her needs. It was infuriating to hear her try to shift the blame, but I stayed firm. The next few days were a blur of emotional chaos. Lisa moved out temporarily, staying at a friend's place. The house felt surreal without her presence, quiet and heavy with the weight of our broken relationship. I focused on the practical aspects of moving forward, financial arrangements, legal paperwork, and starting to rebuild my life. During this time, I also received more messages from people who had seen Lisa and Jake together. Some of them were sympathetic, others were just gossiping. It was a strange mix of comfort and intrusion. I started distancing myself from mutual friends and family, not wanting to deal with their questions or pity. As I prepared for the legal battle ahead, I realized I needed to focus on myself. I began seeing a therapist to help me process everything and to find ways to move on. It was a necessary step, though it felt daunting to confront my own emotions and vulnerabilities. Hey Reddit, here's part 4. The divorce process was as grueling as it was necessary. Once Lisa officially moved out, the reality of the divorce hit hard. The lawyer I hired was efficient, but the process was still emotionally draining. We had to go through all the paperwork, property division, and financial arrangements. The legal side was complicated and impersonal, but it was essential to navigate it correctly. Lisa hired her own lawyer, and the back-and-forth communication was often tense. Every discussion felt like a battle. Lisa's attempts to downplay her affair and minimize her responsibility made the process even more challenging. She tried to argue for a larger share of our assets, using the emotional strain of the situation as leverage. It was clear she wanted to make this as difficult as possible. Our meetings were filled with heated exchanges and legal jargon. It was surreal to hear Lisa's lawyer arguing that her actions were justified because I was supposedly distant and neglectful. It felt like a personal attack on top of everything else, and it was hard not to take it to heart. Amidst the legal battles, I was also dealing with the practicalities of starting over. I had to find a new place to live, which was a huge task in itself. I ended up renting a small apartment that felt like a fresh start, but also a reminder of the upheaval I was going through. Lisa tried to reconcile with me on several occasions, but her efforts felt insincere. She would send text or call, expressing regret, but her actions spoke louder than her words. Each time she reached out, I felt a mixture of anger and pity. It was clear she was struggling with the consequences of her actions, but it didn't change the fact that she had betrayed me. I also had to deal with the social fallout. Friends and family were supportive, but their sympathy was sometimes overwhelming. They wanted to know every detail, and I struggled with how much to share. I appreciated their concern, but it was hard to navigate their well-meaning advice while I was trying to process my own feelings. During this period, I started focusing more on myself. I began taking up new hobbies and spending time doing things I enjoyed. I found solace in exercise and reading, and I began to slowly rebuild my sense of self. It was a long and painful journey, but I knew I needed to take care of myself first before I could move forward. Hey Reddit, back with part 5. This is where things started to wrap up, but not without more surprises. As the divorce process dragged on, Lisa's behavior continued to be unpredictable. One of the most challenging aspects was dealing with her reluctance to finalize everything. She dragged her feet on paperwork, and every small issue seemed to become a battleground. It was clear she was trying to delay the inevitable, and it only added to the stress of the situation. During one particularly tense meeting with her lawyer, Lisa suddenly dropped a bombshell. She was planning to move in with Jake. She claimed it was a way to start fresh, and that it had nothing to do with trying to spite me. It was an obvious attempt to stir the pot, and it only confirmed my suspicion that she wasn't truly remorseful. The revelation was both shocking and validating. It was a stark reminder of how far removed she was from the person I thought I knew. I felt a mix of relief and anger. At least she was being honest about her intentions. But it was still painful to see how quickly she moved on. Throughout this period, I continued to focus on the practical aspects of my life. I made sure to finalize the property division and financial settlements. The lawyer and I worked through the details, making sure everything was as fair as possible given the circumstances. It was exhausting, but necessary. In the midst of the legal turmoil, I also found a new rhythm in my personal life. I started seeing a new therapist who helped me work through my feelings of betrayal and loss. It was a constructive process, and it helped me gain perspective and find ways to heal. As the final court date approached, I prepared myself for the last stretch. Lisa and I had a final meeting to go over the last details. The conversation was tense but civil. We signed the paperwork, and it was over. The divorce was finalized, and I felt a mix of relief and sadness. The legal battles were done, but the emotional scars would take longer to heal. In the weeks following the divorce, I began to slowly rebuild my life. I focused on my career, continued with my hobbies, and started forming new connections. It wasn't an easy transition, but it was a necessary one. I found strength in moving forward and began to see the potential for a better future. Hey Reddit, here's part 6. This is where the journey of adjustment and unexpected changes began. With the divorce finalized, I was ready to embrace a new chapter in my life. I focused on settling into my new apartment and making it truly my own. It was a refreshing change, decorating it, organizing it, and creating a space that felt like a fresh start. The physical change in my environment mirrored the emotional change I was striving for. Initially, adjusting to the new normal was challenging. I missed the routines I had with Lisa, even though they were now tainted with memories of betrayal. I found myself reminiscing about our life together and grappling with a sense of loss. But slowly, the weight of those memories began to lift as I filled my time with activities that were solely for my own enjoyment. One unexpected twist came when I started to encounter Lisa and Jake more frequently than I would have liked. They seemed to have become a fixture in the same places I frequented, the gym, the cafe, and even the grocery store. It felt like a constant reminder of my past. I struggled to keep my composure, but it was a necessary part of moving on. Despite the discomfort, I tried to handle these encounters with grace. I avoided direct confrontations and kept interactions polite but brief. My focus was on reclaiming my own happiness rather than letting their presence disrupt my progress. Another surprising development came in the form of new opportunities. I was promoted at work, which was both a blessing and a challenge. It gave me a renewed sense of purpose and a chance to focus on something positive. The increased responsibility kept me occupied and helped me channel my energy into something productive. Socially, I began to rebuild my network. I reconnected with old friends and made an effort to meet new people. It was a mix of awkwardness and excitement, navigating new friendships and relationships while still dealing with the emotional aftermath of my divorce. It took time, but gradually, I started to feel more comfortable in my own skin and more confident in social settings. Therapy continued to be a crucial part of my healing process. It provided a safe space to explore my feelings and gain insights into my own patterns of behavior. I learned valuable lessons about self-worth and forgiveness, both for myself and for Lisa. It was a journey of personal growth that I didn't expect, but ultimately found incredibly rewarding. One of the most poignant moments came when I realized that I had started to genuinely forgive Lisa, not for her sake, but for my own. Holding on to anger and resentment was only weighing me down, and letting go of those feelings was a key step in my own healing. Hey Reddit, here's part 7. This is where things took an unexpected turn that changed my perspective on life. A few months after the divorce, as I was adjusting to my new routine and embracing my newfound independence, something completely unexpected happened. I received a phone call from an old friend, Mark, whom I hadn't spoken to in years. He was in town and wanted to catch up. Mark and I had been close during college, but life had taken us in different directions. We had lost touch over the years, and I was pleasantly surprised to hear from him. We decided to meet for coffee, and it was like no time had passed. The conversation flowed easily, and it felt good to reconnect. During our catch-up, Mark mentioned that he had recently moved to the area for a new job. As we talked, he shared that he was working on a project that involved community outreach and support for individuals going through difficult times. His enthusiasm and dedication were inspiring, and I found myself drawn to the idea of contributing to something meaningful. Mark's project was focused on helping people navigate life's challenges, from personal crises to professional setbacks. He invited me to get involved as a volunteer, and while it seemed like a big commitment, I felt a strong pull to be a part of it. I saw it as an opportunity to channel my experiences into something positive and to help others who might be facing their own struggles. As I started volunteering, I found it incredibly fulfilling. The work was both challenging and rewarding. I had the chance to meet a diverse group of people and to offer support and guidance based on my own experiences. It was a powerful reminder that even in the face of adversity, there was a way to make a difference. Through this new chapter, I also rediscovered my passion for community and connection. I began to forge new friendships and rebuild old ones with a renewed sense of purpose. It was a stark contrast to the isolation I felt during the early stages of my divorce. In addition to my volunteer work, I started exploring new hobbies and interests. I took up painting, something I had always wanted to try but never had the time for. It became a creative outlet and a way to express my emotions in a constructive manner. I also began traveling more, taking short trips to explore new places and gain new perspectives. One of the most unexpected outcomes of this period was meeting someone new. Her name was Emily, and we met through a mutual friend. She was kind, understanding, and had a genuine warmth that drew me in. Our connection was easy and natural, and it felt like a breath of fresh air. While it was too early to say where things would lead, I was grateful for the new possibilities that seemed to be unfolding. This unexpected twist was a reminder that life has a way of surprising us, even after the most difficult times. It taught me that embracing change and seeking out new opportunities could lead to profound and positive transformations. Hey Reddit, back with part 8. This is where things really started to shift for me, and I began to see the fruits of my efforts and new beginnings. As I continued my involvement in Mark's community outreach project, I found myself more engaged and motivated than ever. The work was not just about helping others. It was also about personal growth. Each interaction with people facing their own challenges reminded me of how far I had come since the end of my marriage. I was no longer the person I was before. I was evolving, and it felt good. Emily, whom I met through a mutual friend, quickly became a significant part of my life. Our relationship developed naturally, We shared similar values, interests, and a sense of humor that made our time together enjoyable. It was refreshing to connect with someone who understood me on a deeper level, without the baggage of past relationships. One weekend, Emily suggested we take a short trip to the mountains. I agreed, eager for a change of scenery and a chance to spend more time together. The trip was incredible. We hiked, explored, and talked about our dreams and aspirations. It was during this trip that I realized how much I had missed genuine connection and how ready I was for a fresh start. As we grew closer, Emily supported my efforts in the community project and even got involved herself. It was wonderful to share this part of my life with her and to see her enthusiasm for helping others. Our shared experiences brought us even closer, and I felt a deep sense of gratitude for her presence in my life. Meanwhile, my involvement in the Community Outreach Project led to new opportunities. Mark and I decided to expand our efforts, creating additional programs and support groups for people dealing with various issues. The positive impact we were making was tangible, and it felt rewarding to be part of something that was truly making a difference. Through this work, I also started to find my own voice and purpose. I began speaking at events and sharing my story, not just as a form of catharsis, but as a way to inspire and support others. It was empowering to use my experiences as a source of strength and motivation for those who needed it. Life felt like it was coming together in a way I hadn't anticipated. The pain of the past was still there, but it was no longer the dominant force in my life. I was learning to embrace the present and look forward to the future with optimism and hope. One of the most meaningful aspects of this period was the sense of closure I began to feel. My past with Lisa was no longer a source of constant anguish. Instead, it became a part of my history that shaped who I had become, a more resilient, compassionate, and self-aware person. Emily and I continued to explore our relationship, taking things one step at a time. It was clear that we had something special, and while I was cautious, I was also hopeful. The future seemed bright, and I was excited about the possibilities that lay ahead. Hey Reddit, back with part 9. This is where things started to get even more interesting as I balanced a new relationship and continued my journey of personal growth. Emily and I were growing closer, and it was both exhilarating and daunting. Our relationship felt like a breath of fresh air after the tumult of my previous marriage. Emily was supportive, understanding, and had a genuine kindness that made her a perfect match for me at this point in my life. However, entering into a new relationship while still processing the fallout from my previous one presented its own set of challenges. I found myself grappling with lingering insecurities and fears. I was wary of repeating past mistakes and was determined to approach this new relationship with a sense of awareness and mindfulness. One of the challenges was dealing with the emotional baggage from my divorce. There were moments when I would catch myself comparing Emily to Lisa, even though I knew it was unfair. I had to remind myself that Emily was her own person and that the past didn't define our present or future. It was a learning process, and therapy continued to be a valuable resource in helping me navigate these feelings. Communication became a cornerstone of our relationship. Emily and I made a conscious effort to be open and honest with each other. We talked about our expectations, boundaries, and the issues we face as individuals. It was refreshing to have these discussions without the deceit and manipulation that had marred my previous relationship. Our shared experiences with the Community Outreach Project also strengthened our bond. Working together on something meaningful gave us a sense of purpose and brought us even closer. We found joy in collaborating and supporting each other's passions, and it became a central part of our relationship. As we continued to build our connection, there were moments of uncertainty and growth. We faced challenges, such as balancing our individual commitments with our time together. But these challenges were opportunities for us to strengthen our relationship and learn more about each other. One significant moment was when Emily and I had a deep conversation about our future. We talked about our hopes, dreams, and the potential for a long-term commitment. It was a serious discussion, but it was also filled with excitement and optimism. We both wanted to build a future together, and we were committed to taking the necessary steps to make it happen. I also had to navigate the reactions of my friends and family. Some were supportive of my new relationship, while others were skeptical. It was a mixed bag, but I learned to focus on the positive feedback and trust my own judgment. Emily and I were building something meaningful, and that was what mattered most. Overall, this period of my life was marked by a sense of renewal and hope. I was learning to embrace the present, cherish the new experiences, and build a future that was both exciting and fulfilling. Emily and I were navigating this journey together, and it felt like we were creating something beautiful out of the ashes of the past. Hey Reddit, back with part 10. This is where Emily and I hit some significant milestones, and our relationship took on a new dimension. After several months of dating, Emily and I decided to take a big step forward. We talked about our future and realized that we both wanted to deepen our commitment. We started looking for a place to live together. The process of finding an apartment was exciting and a bit nerve-wracking, but it was a clear indication of our serious intentions. Moving in together was a major transition, but it felt right. We spent weekends hunting for the perfect place and enjoyed the process of decorating our new home. It was an adventure that brought us closer and helped us learn more about each other's preferences and quirks. The process also highlighted how well we complemented each other. Emily had a knack for organizing and decorating, while I was more focused on practical aspects and logistics. Working together on this project was a testament to our teamwork and our ability to navigate challenges as a couple. One of the most significant milestones came when Emily and I celebrated our first anniversary together. We marked the occasion with a special trip to a place we had both wanted to visit. The trip was a celebration of our relationship and a chance to reflect on how far we had come. During our anniversary trip, we had several meaningful conversations about our future. We discussed our goals, dreams, and the vision we had for our life together. It was a heartwarming experience to realize how aligned we were in our aspirations and how much we wanted to build a life together. Emily also became an integral part of my social circle. She connected well with my friends and family, and their acceptance of her made me feel even more confident about our relationship. It was important to me that she felt welcomed and supported by the people who mattered most in my life. Another significant development was our decision to work on a joint project outside of our community outreach efforts. We started a small business together, focusing on a passion project that combined our skills and interests. It was both challenging and rewarding, and it provided us with a shared goal that further strengthened our bond. As we continued to grow as a couple, we also made an effort to maintain our individual identities. We supported each other's personal goals and interests, ensuring that we continued to grow both as individuals and as partners. It was a balance that we learned to navigate, and it contributed to the overall health of our relationship. Overall, this period was marked by a deepening connection and a sense of shared purpose. Emily and I were building something meaningful together, and it felt like we were creating a strong foundation for our future. The journey was filled with milestones and growth, and it was a testament to the resilience and hope that had guided us through our past challenges. Hey Reddit, back with part 11. This is where Emily and I faced new challenges and celebrated triumphs as our relationship continued to evolve. Our life together was flowing smoothly, but as with any relationship, new challenges began to emerge. The transition to living together came with its own set of adjustments. We encountered the usual bumps, managing household responsibilities, balancing our work schedules, and finding time for ourselves amidst our busy lives. One of the main challenges was dealing with our differing approaches to finances. Emily was meticulous about budgeting and saving, while I had a more relaxed attitude towards money. It led to some tense discussions, but we approached it as a team. We created a joint budget, set financial goals, and found a compromise that worked for both of us. It was a valuable exercise in communication and collaboration. Another challenge was maintaining a healthy work-life balance. Both of us had demanding jobs in our business venture, which sometimes left little time for relaxation. We made a conscious effort to prioritize our relationship by setting aside dedicated time for each other. Date nights, weekend getaways, and regular check-ins became essential in ensuring that we stayed connected and focused on each other. Despite these challenges, there were many moments of triumph. Our business venture continued to grow and thrive. We celebrated small victories, such as hitting milestones and receiving positive feedback from our customers. It was fulfilling to see our hard work paying off and to share those successes together. Our relationship also reached new heights as we continued to build a life together. We celebrated anniversaries, milestones, and personal achievements with joy and gratitude. We made a habit of reflecting on our journey, appreciating the progress we had made, and setting new goals for our future. One particularly memorable moment was when we took a spontaneous trip to a place we had always wanted to visit. It was a break from our routine and a chance to explore new surroundings together. The trip was a reminder of the importance of adventure and spontaneity in our relationship. Throughout this period, we also continued to grow as individuals. Emily pursued her passions and career goals with determination, and I did the same. We supported each other's ambitions and celebrated each other's successes. It was empowering to see how we could thrive both as a couple and as individuals. Our relationship was not without its trials, but each challenge was an opportunity for growth and learning. We faced difficulties head-on, worked through them together, and emerged stronger as a result. The bond we shared deepened as we navigated these experiences, and our commitment to each other became even more steadfast. Hey Reddit, back with part 12. This is where Emily and I faced a major decision that would significantly impact our future together. After a year of living together, our relationship was solid, and we had built a strong foundation. We had navigated challenges and celebrated successes, but a significant turning point was on the horizon. It came in the form of a major decision, whether to take the next step and get married. The topic of marriage had come up several times in our conversations, and we had both expressed a desire to get married eventually. However, the timing had never felt quite right. We wanted to make sure that we were fully prepared for such a significant commitment, and that we were in a place where we could truly embrace it. One day, Emily and I had a deep conversation about our future. We talked about our dreams, our goals, and what marriage meant to us. It was an emotional discussion, filled with both excitement and apprehension. We were both clear about our love for each other and our desire to spend our lives together, but we also wanted to ensure that we were making the right decision. To help us navigate this decision, we sought advice from close friends and family members. Their perspectives and support were invaluable as we weighed the pros and cons. We also spent time reflecting individually, considering how marriage would fit into our lives and what it would mean for us personally and as a couple. After several weeks of discussion and reflection, we decided that we were ready to take the plunge. We both felt confident in our relationship and believed that marriage would be a natural and positive next step. We began to plan the details, focusing on creating a wedding that was meaningful to us. The process of planning our wedding was a mix of excitement and stress. We wanted it to be a reflection of our relationship and our values, so we made sure to include personal touches that represented our journey together. We chose a beautiful location that held special significance for us and carefully planned each detail to make the day truly memorable. As the wedding day approached, we both felt a mix of emotions, anticipation, joy, and a bit of nervousness. It was a culmination of our journey together and a celebration of our commitment to each other. The ceremony was beautiful and heartfelt, and it was a day filled with love and support from our friends and family. The wedding itself was a wonderful experience, marked by laughter, tears, and a profound sense of happiness. It was a testament to our relationship and the strength of our bond. We felt incredibly grateful to have reached this milestone and to be able to share it with the people who mattered most to us. In the aftermath of the wedding, we took some time to reflect on our journey and to look forward to our future together. We were excited about the new chapter in our lives and the adventures that lay ahead. Hey Reddit, back with part 13. This is where Emily and I began to settle into married life and face the new dynamics and joys of this next chapter. The transition into married life was both exhilarating and challenging. We were thrilled to be officially starting this new phase of our relationship, but it also came with its own set of adjustments. Living as a married couple meant navigating new routines, managing shared responsibilities, and deepening our connection in different ways. One of the first things we noticed was how our daily routines became more intertwined. From cooking meals together to managing household chores, we found ourselves developing a rhythm that worked for both of us. It was a learning experience as we discovered each other's habits and preferences in new ways. We also made a conscious effort to keep the romance alive. Despite the busyness of our schedules, we prioritized spending quality time together. Date nights, spontaneous outings, and small gestures of affection became important in maintaining our connection and ensuring that our relationship remained vibrant. Financial management continued to be a key area of focus. We had established a joint budget before our wedding, but now it was time to put it into practice. We had regular financial discussions to stay on track and to plan for future goals. It was a collaborative effort, and it helped us build a sense of partnership and accountability. One of the most enjoyable aspects of married life was creating new traditions and memories. We celebrated our first holidays as a married couple and started to establish our own family traditions. Whether it was decorating for the holidays or planning weekend getaways, we cherished these moments as a way to build our life together. As with any major life change, there were occasional bumps along the road. We encountered challenges, such as balancing work commitments with our personal life and navigating differing opinions on various topics. However, we approached these challenges with open communication and a willingness to compromise. It was a testament to the strength of our relationship and our commitment to supporting each other. Another significant development was our focus on personal growth and shared goals. We continued to pursue our individual passions while also working towards common objectives. Whether it was career aspirations, personal projects, or long-term plans, we supported each other's ambitions and celebrated each other's achievements. The early days of married life were also a time of deepening our emotional connection. We had meaningful conversations about our hopes, dreams, and the future we wanted to build together. It was a period of reflection and growth, and it strengthened our bond. Overall, the early days of married life were marked by a sense of joy and fulfillment. We were learning to navigate this new phase with grace and optimism, and we were excited about the future. The journey was both rewarding and challenging, and it was a testament to the love and commitment we shared. Hey Reddit, back with part 14. This is where Emily and I faced a significant event that tested our relationship in unexpected ways. About a year into our marriage, we encountered a major challenge that neither of us had anticipated. Emily's company faced a sudden financial crisis that led to her being laid off. It was a shocking development, and it had a profound impact on both her and our life together. The initial shock and stress were overwhelming. Emily was understandably upset and worried about the future. She had invested so much into her career, and the abrupt change left her feeling lost and uncertain. I did my best to be supportive and reassuring, but I also felt a weight of responsibility as we navigated this new reality together. The situation required us to make some difficult decisions. With Emily's job loss, we had to adjust our financial plans and tighten our budget. It was a challenging period as we managed the stress of unexpected expenses and the uncertainty of her job search. We decided to approach the situation as a team. We had open and honest discussions about our finances, our goals, and the steps we needed to take. We created a plan to manage our expenses and support each other through this transition. One of the most important aspects of handling this crisis was maintaining our emotional connection. It was easy to let stress and anxiety create distance between us, but we made a conscious effort to stay close and supportive. We had regular check-ins to discuss how we were feeling and to ensure that we were both coping with the situation in a healthy way. Emily's job search was a roller coaster of highs and lows. She faced rejections and challenges, but she also had moments of hope and progress. I was there to offer encouragement and to celebrate her small victories. It was a period of resilience and determination for both of us. Despite the difficulties, there were silver linings. Emily's situation prompted us to reevaluate our priorities and to appreciate the support we had for each other. We found strength in our relationship and discovered new ways to communicate and work together. Eventually, Emily found a new job that was a great fit for her skills and interests. It was a relief and a joyous moment for both of us. The experience had been a test of our relationship, but it also strengthened our bond and reaffirmed our commitment to each other. Looking back, the crisis was a challenging but valuable experience. It taught us the importance of facing difficulties together and of finding strength in our partnership. It also highlighted the resilience we had built in our relationship and our ability to navigate unexpected challenges. Hey Reddit, back with the final part of my story. This is where Emily and I reflected on our journey and looked towards the future with renewed hope and perspective. As we emerged from the challenging period of Emily's job loss, we took time to reflect on our experiences and what we had learned. The journey had been filled with ups and downs, but it had ultimately strengthened our relationship and deepened our appreciation for each other. We realized that facing adversity together had solidified our bond. The way we supported each other through tough times had reinforced our commitment and trust. We had learned to communicate more effectively, to navigate challenges with resilience, and to cherish the moments of joy amidst the difficulties. One of the most significant lessons we took from this experience was the importance of adaptability. Life is unpredictable, and being able to adjust our plans and expectations was crucial. We learned to embrace change with an open mind and to approach obstacles as opportunities for growth. Our relationship had grown stronger as a result of these challenges. We were more attuned to each other's needs, more empathetic, and more determined to build a future together. We continued to support each other's personal and professional goals, and we celebrated our successes with gratitude. Looking ahead, we were excited about the future and the possibilities it held. We had developed a strong foundation and a shared vision for our life together. Our experiences had taught us the value of resilience, communication, and mutual support, and we were eager to continue building on these principles. We also made a conscious effort to appreciate the present and to savor the moments of happiness. We continued to create new memories, explore new interests, and strengthen our connection. Our journey had been a testament to the power of love and partnership, and we were excited to see where it would lead us next. Reflecting on the past, I felt a deep sense of gratitude for the growth and transformation that had come from our experiences. The challenges had been difficult, but they had also been opportunities for learning and self-discovery. Our relationship had emerged stronger, and we were ready to embrace the future with hope and optimism. In closing, I want to thank you all for following along with my story. Your support and insights have been invaluable, and I appreciate the opportunity to share this journey with you. Here's to new beginnings, continued growth, and the pursuit of happiness.